I'm going to tell you a story about my first time doing an oil change. When I was 15, my dad really wanted me to learn how to change my own oil by doing it on his car. I told him that I was confident that I could do it on my own, which was a huge mistake because I had no idea what I was doing, and it turned out to be a huge mess. So doing your own oil changes is one of the most important forms of preventative maintenance that you can do on your car. Doing it frequently can help your engine run for a long time. It's like getting a flu shot for your car. Knowing the proper steps and having the proper tools can make it a fairly easy process that you can do in less than 30 minutes. So I learned most of what I know about oil changes and why they're important back when I used to work at Valvoline. I worked there as a lube tech where I serviced over 1,000 vehicles. So there are three main points that I'm going to cover today. Preparing to do your oil change, the process of draining the oil and removing the old filter, and then putting the new filter on and refilling the oil. So let's start with the first step, getting prepared to do the oil change. So there are a few things to take into account when preparing to do your oil change. Getting the right oil and filter, making sure you have the right tools, and then getting your car ready. Being properly prepared to do an oil change can save you a lot of time and headache during the process. As far as finding the proper oil, amount needed, and oil filter, that information can be found in your owner's manual. However, not every car has the proper oil filter listed in the owner's manual. In that case, you'll have to go to your local auto parts store to get that information. So the tools you are going to need include a ratchet with appropriate size socket, a strap wrench, a drain pan, a funnel, and then a jack with jack stands. So to get your car ready for the oil change, all you have to do is park your car on a level surface, shut the motor off, apply the parking brake, and then jack up your front end. Make sure you put the jack stands underneath the vehicle when you have the car jacked up, because it is very unsafe to be underneath a car that is only supported by a jack. So now that we have the car ready for the oil change, let's move on to the next step, draining the oil and removing the old filter. So in this part of the process, the first thing you need to do is remove the oil cap because it covers the fill hole for the new oil. You do not want to be stuck with having that cap on and the old oil drained out. You can't put the new oil in it. So with your drain pan under the engine, you then remove the drain plug using the ratchet by turning it counterclockwise. You're basically just going to get it loose enough to where you can pull it off the rest of the way with your hand. The oil may take a minute or so to fully drain out. Next, use your strap wrench to loosen the oil filter, and then once it's loose enough, you can remove it the rest of the way with your hand. Make sure the seal is still on the old filter when you remove it. If it is not, make sure you remove it from the engine so that the new filter can be seated properly. This part of the process takes about 5 to 15 minutes depending on where your drain plug and oil filter is located. So now that we have the old oil drained out and the old filter removed, we can move to the final step, which is putting the new filter on and refilling the oil. In this step, you put everything back on in reverse order that you removed them. You start by screwing on the new filter by turning it clockwise. Make sure you don't cross-thread it or screw it too tightly as it can damage the threads. Next, you need to put the drain plug back on. Use your ratchet to tighten it by turning it clockwise. Again, make sure you don't cross-thread it or over-tighten it as it can damage the threads. Finally, using your funnel, you pour the new oil into the fill hole until you put the appropriate amount in as specified by your owner's manual. It is always a good idea to check your dipstick afterwards to make sure you have the right amount in there. It is also a good idea to turn your car on and make sure that there is not oil leaking from your drain plug or oil filter. So as I wrap this speech up, I want to finish my story from earlier. Really, once I learned the proper steps on doing an oil change, it was never an issue after that. It has saved me lots of money over the years of owning a car. I think everyone should learn how to do their own oil changes. It's very easy to do. It's also a very important form of preventative maintenance. Thank you.